Hi Fox, today I will take you a session on risk assessment. What is the significance of risk assessment in any of our work basically? Risk assessment is basically a legal requirement. Risk assessment was basically originated from OSAS 18001. Now it is a mandate for ISO 45001 also. Previously, when risk assessment was germinated, at that point of time risk assessment were basically associated with for the critical activities only, where there is every chances of any accidents and incidents. But nowadays in modern context or modern scenario, risk assessment is pertaining to each and every activity that may be having moderate risk or high level risk or low level risk basically. Risk assessment is basically a part of the risk management system. Risk assessment can be done for any of the jobs. Suppose you want to start a new business. So for that new business only, there is risk can be positive, risk can be negative. So on that context, whatever may be the positive outcome, that is basically an opportunity, and what is basically the negative outcome, that is considered as a risk as per the ISO 45001 modern context. Risk is basically a product of probability as well as severity. In the process safety management context, risk is considered as a product of probability into severity as well as into the exposure of time. In modern scenario, previously we are whenever we are executing any kind of work, we are doing the job safety analysis or job hazard analysis. Job safety analysis or job hazard analysis was a quantitative kind of analysis. Risk assessment is a combination of quantitative as well as a qualitative analysis. Quantitative, why? Because we are profiling the risk on the basis of high level risk, low level risk or medium level risk, and that's why you are quantifying in terms of a matrix based upon probability as well as severity. So that's why it is a quantitative analysis also. In the risk assessment, what we should do, risk assessment being a legal requirement, at first risk assessment is basically we have to identify the risk, then we have to analyze the risk as well, then we have to take the appropriate control measures to take down the risk level to an alert level so that risk can be acceptable to the organization. As well as risk assessment is also a part of the EHS policies. That's why it provides a conjugation, it provides a framework between the EHS policies of the organization as well as to meet the legal requirement also. In the risk assessment, basically we are doing alert level. Alert means as low as reasonably practicable. Whenever we are starting any kind of activity, the level of risk is very high. Suppose we are taking an example at this instant, that working at height. Whenever we are starting any working at height activity, prior to taking any existing control measures followed by the subsequent additional control measures, risk level becomes very, very high. And whenever we are taking all control measures as per the hierarchy of control, ERIC PD, engineering control, then risk reduction followed by isolation, segregation, control discipline, and all the hierarchies at the last PP, then definitely this risk level is getting reduced. So reduced means we are taking the risk level to an acceptable level, that is called basically as low as reasonably practicable, which is very, very important in terms of this risk assessment scenario. After doing the risk assessment, whatever may be the outcome of the risk assessment, that is getting reflected in terms of safe working procedure. So it should be our endeavor, and it should always be preferable. It is also advisable to all safety persons that whenever we are doing any kind of risk assessment, we should also make a note that risk assessment should be specific, relevant, and pertaining to our job of operation. Whenever we are completing a risk assessment, then we should disseminate the information to all workmen, to our working crew, as well as our engineers, as well as supervisors also, so that they should know what are the vulnerabilities, inherent vulnerabilities, or intrinsically hazards, potential vulnerabilities associated in the risk assessment operation. It can be disseminated in a appropriate manner to all workmen in the term of our safety induction training or TBT talk or job specific operation. Then it is going to give a very good result in terms of reduction of any incident, in terms of reduction of any kind of accident, in terms of reduction of any injury, as well as near miss cases also. So risk assessment plays a very vital as well as very pivotal role in our context, that whenever we are doing any kind of job, we should know what are the inherent hazards and vulnerabilities associated in the operation, and we should also take the appropriate mitigating or control measures in order to identify the risk, analyze the risk, to take the risk at a level which should be accepted by the EHS policies of the organization. That's why it is forming a framework between the legal requirement as well as the EHS policies of the organization. If we go through the EHS policy is being a recorded document as per 45,001. It is clearly mentioned that whatever job we should do, that should be risk assessed. On that context also, we should do risk assessment. If we can do appropriate risk assessment through proper training, through proper control, whenever we are doing any risk assessment, then previous accident statistics, our previous experiences, as well as informations from the senior level people, as well as through our team. In fact, we can go to the ask to the worker who is an experienced one. If we can take their insights also, risk assessment will be appropriate, risk assessment will be foolproof and fail safe. So for today, I think I have just elaborated why risk assessment is necessary, what is the importance and significance of risk assessment, how basically in a crispy note how it is to be done. So thank you for listening with all of your patience, and I would request you, if you have liked my video, definitely you should put a like as well as subscribe my channel. Definitely it's a long endeavor for me that I will be connected to you with a lot of subject matters in safety. Bye bye. Thank you. Have a safe day.